Butler's opponent. It's very impressive.
Yeah, the tail of the tape, 28 for Craig Willingham and 26 for Coker. Both fighters made weight at 170. 6'1" for Craig Willingham, 5'6" it says for Treyvon Coker, but that's not right. 73 inches for Willingham, 75 for Treyvon Coker. This brought to you by Hallerhead Whiskey. Let's make it official. Let's meet them both. Wayne Leggett.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest brought to you by Hallerhead Whiskey is scheduled for 3 rounds in the Fury FC welterweight division. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner. This mixed martial artist stands 6 feet 1 inch tall and he weighed in officially at 170.4 pounds. Fighting out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, by way of Albany, New York. Today, he looks for his first win as a pro. Here is Craig Willingham. And introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. This freestyle fighter stands 5 feet 9 inches tall and he weighed in at 169.2 pounds. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, he holds a professional record of 2 wins, 2 losses. Here is Treyvon Coker. Your referee in charge of the action, Patrick Patlon.
Here we go, ready to get this welterweight bout underway. 2 strikers, Craig Willingham, Treyvon Coker.
Now, Trayvon's posting's always been very mild-mannered. He doesn't start fast or slow. We'll see if Willingham, perhaps, if he's a quicker starter, that could be a difference in kind of like their pacing and their rhythm. We'll see.
Yeah, you were talking about Trayvon's demeanor earlier, and there's, it's funny. There's a fine line between, because the nice guy and the psychopath have the same, exact same demeanor. And so we'll see where that splits. Treyvon Coker, an extremely nice guy, big overhand right there.
Yeah, he had a smooth little jab right before. Willingham threw a hard low kick, but Treyvon just kind of slid right out of the range. Got good range management, this Treyvon. And it's interesting, when you miss, especially a kick or a punch, big right hand there from Willingham. That was a good right hand. But when you miss, you're susceptible for the count. And that's why you see guys so apprehensive to really kind of commit and throw in MMA. You just got to really try not to make that mistake. It often will cost you the fight if it's easily capitalized on. And that's one thing Trayvon's good at, is making guys make mistakes by missing. But notice Willingham, he covered a lot of distance on that jab into that big right hand and met its mark.
This guy trading a leg kick there. Ooh, big right hand there from Treyvon Coker. Yeah, Treyvon very poised. I mean, his face hasn't changed the whole time, no matter what's happened.
No, it usually doesn't. Both guys really using their jab well, measuring, set up a big right hand, big kick. They're both kind of waiting to let that right hand go. Trayvon's let, I think, 3 go now, 2 overhands on a straight. Nice, yeah, it was a nice little slip to a 3-2.
Ooh, he went for it there, Alex.
He sure did.
And the punches are straight, no looping. If he throws a looping punch, he does it on purpose.
Yeah.
Very good, straight punches. Takes a shot there as he tries to throw that overhand right.
Yeah, Willingham's really getting his head off that center line as he throws that jab. Nice check there from Trayvon. I like the pressure.
Man, and Trayvon is so quick. His hands are so fast. And it doesn't look like they're going to be as you see him standing there, in his stance. But man, he throws combinations. His hands are extremely fast.
What could be really helpful is to sometimes really change that tempo. Because when you come in really measured and calm the whole time, the guys start to kind of get used to that. And sometimes you can really explode in. They just don't quite have the same reaction time. Oh, nice. Yeah, he covered a lot of distance with that left hook. Kind of got his head nice and loaded. Treyvon threw the right hand right over the top.
Yeah, you saw the eyes kind of look off in the distance of Willingham after that punch landed. Recovered very quickly, though.
Both guys are so accurate and precise. I think if it's one of those fights, if they both sat in the pocket and threw a couple combos, I think someone would get finished. They both kind of have a similar game in terms of using the jab at range and trying to, like, I don't want to say sharpshoot with the right hand, but we're really not seeing combos any greater than, you know, 2, maybe 3 attacks.
Yeah, a lot of 1-2s from both guys. A lot of jab feints.
Good little counter low kick there from Treyvon.
Beautiful head movement there from Treyvon Coker.
And it was a clever trap by Craig as well. He kind of like palmed him right on the forehead and almost tried to track him with the right hand, but Treyvon was just too mobile. Really good vision from both guys.
And you saw Azel's. It was a great visual of, you know, both guys keeping their eyes open for the entire combination on both sides, because never took their eyes off of each other, never closed their eyes, never blinked. Very intentional, that head movement, very intentional strikes.
It's funny, you know, Willingham is fighting how we've seen Treyvon fight. You know, it's kind of both of their styles. That was a razor close round.
Yeah, and one thing I can tell you is that there was not any indication whatsoever of this going to the ground. So we were right. No. We called it right. This is going to be a stand-up battle, it looks like. Nice right hand there, right down the pipe by Willingham. And you see Treyvon Coker landing right over the top. Hits the chin of Willingham.
I mean, this one's hard to score. I was trying to think, you know, if someone had maybe a little more volume, but man, I mean, that's truly a toss-up. So, like, when I'm in the corner telling my fighter, hey, that was a good round, you did great, good reads, we don't know how that went. And anytime you don't know if you won, you got to assume you lost. You know, so we'll see if maybe they pick up their volume or maybe change their rhythm a bit in the second round to get a little more, you know, points on the board.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to add a little professionalism to the team here. Rahil Ramzanali has just showed up and made his presence known.
Working man pulling double duty. Always good to have him.
Yeah, not sure if y'all know this, but Rahil punches me in the face when he gets here every time, and he just did it again. So. Here we go.
Oh, nice. Yeah, good right hand there from Trey. Both guys seem maybe to have a little more comfortability with one another's stance and cadence. So they've actually picked up their speed a little bit here in the second round. Trey has a notoriously good read on checking kicks. That's something I'm sure he doesn't, or I'm sure he'll appreciate that being said, because that usually goes unseen. And in every one of his fights, he's checked the majority of the low kicks thrown at him.
Alex, what's your way whenever you're in there? You check kicks. What's your way of checking? What are you looking for? Are you looking for the hip to turn, or are you looking? What are you looking for? What do you focus on? Man,
that's actually a good question. I myself have a ridiculously high check percentage, like in the high 90s. I've never really been low kicked hard in a fight. I've had 50 fights. I think when somebody has a really good jab, like both of these guys do, but Trey especially is the one talking. You know, he's the one checking the kicks. I think just fighting at that range, you're like able to kind of react to anything they throw. In the nice, good right hand there from Willingham. But like the reaction of a low kick to a check is a very simple lead knee lift and angle.
So nothing you're really focusing on. Where do you look? Do you look in your opponent's eyes, or you look at his chest and shoulders?
Man, in a fight, I try to look at their chin, because that's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard, like, look at their chest, look at their chin. If you look at them in the eyes, you're going to catch a crafty veteran who's going to look low and then hit you high.
Yeah.
So it's best not to look at him in the eyes. Unless you're a crazy person. Yeah. There's plenty of those in MMA. Fighting in a cage for fun is usually not very normal.
Yeah, I say it all the time, Alex. None of us are normal here. We all like to fight our friends.
Again, I know it's easier said than done, but if either one of these guys could add 1 or 2 punches at the end of their combos, I think they'd meet the mark. Now, granted, that keeps you in that counter zone a little longer. Like, I get the risk. But after my last fight, I mean, my coach was like, great job, but, you know, let's add on to some of these combos that land. Especially if you hit them and you know they're out of position.
Yeah, both these guys, I mean, we see Willingham put that hand on the head again and kind of keep his distance with that hand.
That was a nice jab, left hook, straight right there from Willingham. Notice Willingham keeps his left hand low. And Treyvon noticed that in the first round and threw a couple overhands, but Willingham did such a good job kind of rolling with the punch. Switch stance, check kick there from Treyvon. Oh, big body shot from Trey. These guys finally end up clinching up. Little knee to the leg there from Willingham. Underrated strike in the clinch, the knee to the quad.
It looked like Treyvon was trying to bait him into thinking he could throw him and then drop his hips down and had his hand behind it. The mouthpiece just came out of the mouth and it's outside the cage.
I'm gonna toss it in there to Patrick.
Put it in your mouth first and yeah, I don't think he knows. I think the mouth guard is outside the cage. It fell through the cage out of his mouth. Alex putting it back in. Alex put it in his mouth and then spit it into the cage. Thank you, Alex.
It's right below you, Pat.
Alex, you didn't have to put that in your mouth before you spit it back in the cage, but
I wanted to make sure it was a mouth guard. It was. No, there's one thing that I like, you know, as a fighter and coach and now commentator is just, you know, the safety of the fighters. And like anytime, like, you know, like a strap comes off or mouthpiece comes out, you know, just let's make sure these guys have no extra risk at taking damage. And Pat's doing the right thing because these guys are in a very active grappling exchange right now. If they break, he'll call a timeout, but this is not the time to stop it. Kimura attempt here from Willingham, but ends up giving his back up.
Yeah, this is not good for Willingham.
And this is why you don't stop for things like a mouth guard falling out. Because this is the most significant action in round 2.
Yeah, this may have just won Treyvon Coker this round.
I had a fight, and in the 3rd round, my opponent's mouthpiece not only fell out, but it fell in between the apron and the cage. It took him about 8 minutes to get the fight going again. So now I always bring 2 mouth guards. I brought 2 mouth guards in my last fight, and the commissioner was like, do you have your 2nd mouth guard? And I was like, yes, I do. And they said I was the only fighter they've ever met to actually bring 2. It was so funny.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, Alex always prepared, always ready to go, leaves nothing to chance. Man, Alex, Rahil's just getting here. Welcome, Rahil, to the team. But, man, this has been an unbelievable. We've seen just about everything you can see here. We've seen the bloodiest fights. Maybe the bloodiest fight in Fury history, Rahil.
I've never seen shorts turn red.
Man.
That was wild. Fight
Yeah.
number 2, Kota against Kublaze. I was watching as I was driving in here. Shout out to Full Self Driving on the Tesla because I don't want to get a ticket, but I was watching.
Very cool.
But, man, great card so far. And round 3 now for this awesome striking display thus far. Fight 4 of our prelims, and thank you guys for holding down the fort.
Well, it was a very loose hold down, but we were able to keep it close to the ground.
Yeah, the cage isn't on fire, so I think we did a good job.
You guys did great, man. It was excellent watching. Ooh, man.
That was the most significant strike of the fight, and Treyvon knows it. Big left hand, level change there from Willingham.
Treyvon turning up the heat here a little bit, and they've gotten a little bit overzealous in that attack there. Now Willingham having his back here.
I was just about to say, Willingham does seem to be a little more comfortable on the feet as he was throwing and landing a few more right hands than normal, at least than in round 1. But as we saw in this 2nd round, Willingham initiated a takedown, went for the Kimura on the cage, got his back taken. So even though he initiated the grappling, he ended up in the worst spot. gritty head fight position there from Willingham.
How do you guys have this scored so far? Rounds
Oh,
1
I
and
knew
2?
you were going to ask that.
Yeah, you got to catch me up.
Round one was as close as it gets. Both guys had very similar activity, volume, and damage done. Round one, a genuine coin flip. Even with stats on the screen, I still think it's super close. Round two was equally as close until the final exchange where Treyvon got to Willingham's back and threatened a naked choke. I do believe in an even round that did turn the tide in his favor. And we see now in this third round, there's actually more wrestling than there's been the entire fight. Initiated there by Willingham, but as he gets his back exposed again. Now, no knock on that shot if he can get out of here, but if he ends up getting dragged down and his back taken, he needs to stop engaging. Same sequence, going for the Kimura. This is dangerous at MMA. You do this against a high-level grappler, they're going to be on your back in a flash.
Treyvon Coker, so proud of his endurance and cardio. Told us before the fights that, you remember those pacers you had to do in elementary school? It was like a fitness test. He said he was really good at it. So something he's been focused on. One of the more entertaining guys on the Fury roster always. That's what he decided to bring up in pre-fight interviews. And I heard you say 5'6". That has become the meme now of Treyvon Coker. He is not 5'6",
no.
but he always puts 5'6" on his height.
Yeah, he's got,
we measure it.
Yeah,
we still put it.
Yeah, he's got 5'6" on Tapology. We saw it here on the tail of the tape, and then I looked up at him and I was like, wait, I forgot.
It's one of the best
He's not
memes right now.
5'6".
Yeah.
Nice takedown defense there from Willingham. What's funny is I think both guys would rather break and strike, but it can be challenging to try to disengage when someone has an overhook or an underhook. I'll tell you, Willingham has committed to a little bit more of a grappling game plan in maybe like the last minute of round two and for the entirety of round three. Got Fury fighting vet Diego Lopes in the house. Congratulations to Diego for his big UFC 300 knockout.
Man, what a moment. He's here in town to watch Cameron Smotherman, who has been his main training partner leading up to UFC 300. So we'll talk a little bit more about that on our main broadcast, but Diego Lopes, Fury fighting veteran, here in attendance, inside the cage now. Treyvon Coker having a lot to deal with Craig Willingham.
Yeah, Willingham did a good job getting him to the ground, had back exposure, like tried to jump the back, take and go for a choke, slipped off, had a front headlock, but Treyvon hand fought and got up to his feet. And here we are now. Still a weird fight to call, judging-wise. I think Willingham is up in this third round just because of his aggression in the wrestling sense. Treyvon did land that big right hand right in the beginning of round three, but for the last 4 minutes, Willingham's been kind of grinding him out on the cage.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Michael.
the judges will have a little bit of a short memory when it comes to that. If it happens in the first few seconds of the round, and then the rest of the round goes a certain way. I mean, you know, everybody's a little bit different about how they keep score and how they do it. Treyvon trying to pull guard.
You know, I've noticed, I see it. I think these judges are taking notes now, which is so awesome. If I'm not mistaken, Ryan Thompson is the one who started that, a new school judge, one of the best judges I've ever met in my life. And anytime I have a question or like a weird scenario that pops up late one night, I'll usually hit him up and find out. But I think that may be a relic of the past, you know, as these guys are making sure to notate significant action, as that should be the case. Judging should be taken super seriously at any level, but especially at a professional level. And we've noticed a good swing in the judging here in Texas.
All right, let's take a look at round three highlights. Could that have been the round that pushed Craig Willingham to his first win as a pro?
Maybe. I think he pretty clearly won round three. I think Trey wins round two, and it comes up to round one, which is as close as a round could get. I mean, The damage, volume, and pacing was as close to 50-50s I've ever seen.
Yeah, nothing significant one way or the other in the first round. And, you know, very close fight all the way in all 3 rounds. But, you know, I think you got that right. 2 and 3 are a little bit more definitive. But round 1, I mean, was dead even. I mean, it was almost like they made a deal to exchange 1 for 1 in the first round.
We still have 2 more fights left on our prelims broadcast, by the way, for those of you who are watching. We still got Garrett Foster taking on Lester Batres Jr. We'll talk about the rest of those fights in a second. Inside the cage, let's see how the judges rule this one. Here's Wayne Luggett.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of combat, we go to the judges' scorecards for your decision. Brought to you by Howler Head Whiskey. With scores of 29-28, 30-27, and 30-27, your winner by unanimous decision, Craig Willingham.
Ham picks up his first win as a professional, and now for Treyvon